I'm gonna get so hated on for saying 2001 is a love it or hate it.
First person that says Ice Pirates down in the comments gets thrown out of an airlock. Hey guys, I am here with Ryan Connolly, host of Film Riot and Film State. You review movies,
Yes.
and you show people how to make movies, and you just made your second movie, Proximity.
I did.
And so you know a lot about movies.
I know some about movies.
You've got some movies going on.
I've seen them.
So we wanted to talk to you as a movie buff about what you think the best science fiction films of all time are.
Okay.
And I kind of wanted to also talk about how they're kind of rooted in reality in a lot of cases. What do you think makes a good sci-fi movie?
Well, it's a movie that, like, you know, future thinks. It is something that shows us a world that could be, maybe one that might not ever actually come into existence, but something that could be. And it's also one, by doing that, kind of makes us look at our own existence in a lot of ways. A lot of films have done that, like Blade Runner. You know, our place in the universe, our actual, you know, our own humanity. Sci-fi has a great way of kind of holding up a mirror to ourselves.
Yeah, and so your first pick is what? Let's go down your list.
I think my first pick is Children of Men, Alfonso Cuarón, one of my favorite, not just sci-fi films, but favorite films of all time. With just a great, in the future, no one's having any more, there's no more babies happening.
Recently, there's been a lot of concern about the global birth rate, which 20 years ago we were all like, oh my gosh, overpopulation, it's all gonna happen. And now, over 80 countries in the world with these incredibly slowing birth rates, right? And they can't figure out why. And it's like a lot of Western Europe, it's China, to an extent it's us. Why aren't we having enough babies? I thought we were having too many babies.
Turn up the baby volume.
Turn up the babies.
It was a thing.
So what else do you like?
Minority Report,
Yes.
Spielberg, one of my favorite directors of all time. Definitely one of my favorite films from him, and just a great, gritty, very realistic feeling sci-fi film. This is one of the sci-fi films, at least for me, that felt like when I watched it that this is what the world's going to be one day. Especially that idea of the precog and, you know, pre-crime and things like that.
Lately, we've been doing a lot of stuff with data mining and big data, right? So during the last presidential election, you had Nate Silver, who accurately predicted the entire election, every state, which way it was going to go, just based on.
He's a demon.
Yeah, he is kind of a witch. But also, he was just like, well, why aren't we just looking at the numbers? The numbers are all there. There's a UN lab in Indonesia that can predict future disasters based on what people are tweeting. They can predict things like the consumer price index. They know when the bottom is going to fall out of the economy based on what people are tweeting. Yeah. That is spooky.
Yeah, that advertisement deal that they do in there. Stay out of my mind. Universe.
But it's funny because when I'm on Facebook now, the entire sidebar of ads, which used to be sort of semi-targeted to me.
Right, are just attacking you.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, hey, Anthony, we know that you like exactly this because you looked at it on Amazon 3 weeks ago.
And you're like, no, I was getting the leather jacket for a friend. I don't wear them.
I don't do that.
Yeah, leave me alone.
I don't wear stonewashed jeans, but are they on sale?
Right.
What is your next one?
Alien, which is not so much a world that looks like something that could be, but something that kind of changed sci-fi a lot in the way of, 2001 brought about this very pretty sci-fi. Alien kind of changed all that around. It was just space truckers. It was just, everything was dirty and gritty.
And it's also, even years later, in a way, more realistic than a lot of sci-fi now, because when you look at things like what NASA does, when they design things, they use really low-end parts that are more rugged.
Right.
And they use a lot of physical controls because they don't want things that are going to be touchy, things that are going to break. So it's kind of interesting to see that really industrial look in a spaceship.
Yeah.
The other thing that is real in that movie that you were like, please don't tell me that's actually real. There are things that live inside of us and burst out of us.
I don't want that.
They're on a much tinier scale, but there are real parasites, things like scabies and flatworms that will live in your blood and breed and then burst out of your pores. Probably, maybe even right now it's happening to you.
Okay.
So next movie is definitely very influential. You see it on a lot of filmmakers' lists.
It's one of the films that I'm always talking about that filmmakers should definitely watch, which is Metropolis, which came out, I believe, in 1927. It's a silent film that's absolutely just remarkable even to this day, and why I think it's something filmmakers should watch is just the artistry that went into it and how they made the film. It looks like there's visual effects all throughout, but obviously there aren't. It's 1927.
It has some very universal appeal even now in terms of its subject matter, which is people in the sky who have all the money,
right,
and then the people on the ground who do all the work. And you look at how the economic divide has just spread even more since Metropolis was made, like in just about every country. And I feel like that's kind of one of the big secrets to good sci-fi, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. It was like what I was saying before, great sci-fi, makes us look at our own humanity, but also ourselves as a society.
The final movie that you have on your list, small, maybe even more esoteric film.
Super
fewer
indie.
people.
No one has ever heard of it. Yeah, 2001, Space Odyssey.
No,
never heard of it. You have not seen it.
Should I see it?
I mean, you could if you wanted to. It's an absolute gorgeous movie, and it has been influencing sci-fi since it came out. I mean, if you look at the suits in this film and then the suits in the latest Star Trek films, and you can see how much this has influenced people. I mean, it did for sci-fi what Alien did, not too long after, whereas Aliens kind of flipped it back over to that gritty look. This kind of gave it this perfectly polished, beautiful, Kubrick style thing to it.
And it's funny because you look at the new concept spacesuits that NASA just kind of announced, and they are these kind of like sleek white jumpsuits now with these very like 70s inspired like colored piping on them, and you're like, oh, okay.
Okay, Kubrick.
Of course, on a more practical level, two other things that are happening. We are going to Mars. Like that's gonna happen. There's that. That's pretty obvious, I think. And then, but the other one is just AI and the beginning of AI in our everyday life. Even your Xbox you can talk to now. And it's kind of interesting to me to see this kind of creeping in, and it feels sinister in 2001, and maybe when you're calling your credit card company, because that just feels sinister. But it does feel easy, and you can see why we're like putting it into our lives.
It's becoming a part of us, slowly but surely.
Dude, Ryan, thank you so much for coming by and sharing these with us. If people want to watch Film Riot and Film State and Proximity and all the things you do in your busy life.
All the stuff I do when I'm not here.
Yeah.
It's youtube.com/Film Riot. It's pretty much where you can go to find basically everything.
Awesome, so go check that out. Subscribe here for more D News, and let us know down in the comments what your favorite sci-fi movies are.